She was walking alone at midnight after her shift. The street was quiet, the kind of stillness that makes even the sound of your own footsteps seem too loud. Her shift at the diner had gone long, a double, and her feet ached with every step. The soft buzz of the streetlights overhead was the only background noise, the occasional flicker from one above casting broken shadows across the cracked sidewalk. She had walked this route many times before. The streets were familiar, the turns predictable. Most nights, she found it peaceful, an opportunity to clear her mind after hours of taking orders, cleaning tables, and smiling through exhaustion. But that night felt different. She couldn't quite put her finger on it. Maybe it was the way the wind cut colder than usual, or how every rustling leaf sounded like footsteps behind her. She tightened her grip on her bag and picked up the pace, trying to convince herself that it was just her imagination. Her phone was low on battery at 2%, so she resisted the urge to pull it out and call someone, just in case she needed it for an emergency. Besides, she told herself, there was no one around. She could see up and down the street, and it was empty. Then, it happened. From behind, she felt a sudden grip on her arm. Firm, urgent. She spun around, her heart leaping into her throat. A man stood there, his eyes unreadable in the dim light. His face was partially shadowed by the hood of his sweatshirt. He didn't look particularly menacing at first glance, but his hand on her arm said otherwise. "Walk faster," he said in a low voice. Not a whisper, not a shout, just flat, stern. Her body froze. Time slowed. 1,000 thoughts raced through her mind in a split second. Who was he? What did he want? Why her? He didn't yank her or push. He just stood there, hand still gripping her arm, eyes fixed on hers. Again, he said, "Walk faster." She yanked her arm back, stumbling slightly as she broke free from his grip. She didn't ask questions. She turned and started to walk faster, like he said. Her breath came out in sharp bursts as adrenaline surged through her. Her feet hit the pavement harder now, but he wasn't following her. She dared a glance back. He stood in the same place, watching her go. Was this some kind of threat? A warning? She didn't wait to find out. She made a beeline for the nearest open business she could remember, a 24-hour gas station about 2 blocks away. She ran the rest of the way, barely noticing the ache in her legs anymore. When she finally burst through the doors, gasping for breath, the clerk looked up in alarm. "Are you okay?" he asked. She couldn't speak at first, just nodded as she pulled out her phone and called 911. She told the dispatcher everything she could remember, his voice, the clothes, where it happened. Within minutes, a patrol car pulled into the lot, and she recounted it all again, her hands shaking despite being surrounded by people. The officers took it seriously. They canvassed the area, but the man was gone. No surveillance cameras nearby had picked him up, and he hadn't followed her into the lit areas. They told her she'd done the right thing, getting away, getting to safety, calling immediately. But that night, and the nights after, changed everything for her. She never walked home alone again. Her boss helped arrange transportation after shifts. Her coworkers took notice, making sure no one ever left on their own if they didn't feel safe. But still, the memory lingered. What haunted her wasn't just the fear of what could have happened. It was the uncertainty. Who was he? Why didn't he do more? Why didn't he chase her? Why just say, "Walk faster"? Days passed, then weeks. She looked over her shoulder more often. She stopped wearing earbuds when walking, stopped zoning out. She learned to read her surroundings better. Every stranger felt like a potential threat, every dark corner a hiding place. Eventually, her story spread, not through viral fame, but word of mouth. Her friends, her family, the neighborhood. It became a cautionary tale. Don't walk alone at night. Always carry something for protection. Trust your instincts. Those were the messages people took from it. But for her, it was more complicated. She wasn't just scared, she was angry. Angry that she'd been targeted. Angry that someone thought they could do that. Angry that the world was still a place where a woman couldn't walk home without fear. She channeled that anger into something constructive. She took a self-defense class. She volunteered for a local organization that offered late-night rides home for women working service jobs. She spoke at her old high school about situational awareness, courage, and the power of quick decision-making. She never learned who the man was. The police had no leads. Maybe he was a predator testing the waters. Maybe he was warning her. Maybe he was unstable. The not knowing, in some ways, was worse than the fear. Over time, the memory became less raw, but it never faded. Even years later, she would sometimes feel that same tension while walking alone, even in daylight. It wasn't paranoia. It was memory. It was survival. Some people try to minimize it. At least he didn't hurt you. Maybe he was just trying to scare you. It could have been worse. But she knew better. She knew that the difference between a